Bayo was not an enemy. He was family. He ate from their pot, slept in their house, and carried their children in his arms. But when wealth arrived suddenly, and a strange death began to visit Abdul's home, no one imagined that the danger had been sitting with them all along, because some evil does not attack from outside. Welcome to African Tales by ChiNwa, breathing life into African tales. Abdul and Bayo were the kind of friends people pointed at and said, "See these two, they are more than brothers." Both of them were vulcanizers, working side by side under the same hot sun, sharing the same jokes, the same struggles, and the same loyal bond that made them inseparable. Abdul was already settled with a family of his own. He was married to Victoria, and together they had 4 children, 3 boys and 1 girl. Their home was always full of noise, energy, and the warm chaos that comes from children who loved life. Yet in the middle of that busy household, there was always room for one more. Bayo. Bayo was unmarried, but it never felt like he lacked a family. Abdul's house had become his home in every way except on paper. The moment he stepped into their compound, the children ran to him, shouting, laughing, pulling at his hands. They adored him the same way they adored their own father. To them he was Daddy's brother, even though no blood tied them. Their love for him was pure, loud, and unquestioned. Inside the house, Bayo moved freely. He didn't knock. He didn't wait to be invited. If he was hungry, he ate. If he was tired, he stretched out on the sofa or the floor and slept like someone who belonged there. Abdul himself treated Bayo like a twin born from a different mother. Their lives were deeply intertwined. They worked together, rested together, argued, laughed, and supported each other with a loyalty that impressed everyone who knew them. Abdul never introduced Bayo as my friend. He always said, "Meet my brother," and he meant it. Victoria understood this bond perfectly. She welcomed Bayo the same way Abdul welcomed him, without restrictions. She respected the friendship and treated Bayo like part of her household, knowing how much he meant to her husband. Even though Abdul and Bayo were hard-working vulcanizers, life wasn't smiling at them the way they wished. Every day they wrestled with sun, dust, stubborn bolts, and customers who enjoyed pricing things down until profit almost cried. Still, through all the struggle, Abdul somehow kept his home steady. It wasn't luxury, but it was decent. Victoria cooked 3 square meals every day. The children never went to bed hungry, and their small apartment always felt warm and alive. Financially, they were not buoyant, not at all, but they lived with honor. Bayo, however, carried his own kind of fire. Almost every evening, after locking up their tools and wiping the grease off their hands, the 2 men would sit outside on their worn-out bench. Sometimes they bought roasted ground nuts. Sometimes it was cold sachet water. Other days, when they wanted to feel like big men, they shared a cheap bottle of drink from the corner bar. And during those moments, the conversations always went in one direction. "Abdul," Bayo would sigh, stretching his legs. "I gats make money. I no fit continue like this. This life we dey so, I must blow. Even if na my left ear I go sell, am." Abdul would burst into laughter, slapping his friend on the shoulder. "Sell your ear? Gotta beg ooh. Na you sabi," Bayo fired back, making a face. "But I know dey joke. I must make money by fire by thunder. I can't be here waiting for miracles. Something must happen." Abdul shook his head, smiling calmly. "Money is good, no doubt, but not all money is a blessing. Some money fit drag problem way person. No fit finish solving, Bayo hissed. You and your long sermon. See, if opportunity show, I go grab am sharp sharp. Quick money no day bad. Now who no get plans day fear. Me, I want money too, Abdul said softly, but not the type that will cost my peace. Money that comes easily, goes easily. Bayo waved his hand. Abdul, leave matter. If angel they share money, my own go be the one way get wings and flash light. They both laughed hard, the kind of laughter that made people nearby look their way and smile. But even inside the humor, Bayo's desperation was real. Every night when he returned to his small single room, he sat on his edge of his bed, staring into the darkness, thinking, how I go make this money? How? He wanted comfort, respect, ease, the kind he saw other men enjoy. He wanted more than patch survival. His mind raced endlessly, contemplating anything and everything. Some nights he muttered aloud, if person tell me, say to get money, I go, need to sell small body part, I fit reason am. After all, na sacrifice be sacrifice. He laughed at himself, but the laughter held frustration. One particular evening, he and Abdul decided to relax at a small bar down the street. The day had been rough, customers were scarce, the sun had been wicked. They ordered 2 cold drinks and sat at a wooden table, watching people pass. Abdul, Bayo began again. I swear one day I will be called a big man. I go just a spray money anyhow. You will see. Just make sure it is a genuine money, Abdul replied, raising his cup. As they were talking, a car pulled up, a smooth, shining machine that didn't look like it had ever suffered dust in its life. Both men paused, eyes stretched wide. Ah, which kind motor be this? Bayo whispered. Who is the owner? Abdul murmured, blinking. The door opened, and a tall, well-dressed man stepped out. His clothes were sharp, his shoes gleamed, and a gold watch caught the sunlight like it was purposely showing off. Bayo's mouth dropped. No be... Ah, Abdul, see no be ChiNwa be that, Abdul squinted. ChiNwa? The same Musa way follow us they struggled back then. Yes, before he disappear like person way, win visa. The man turned, and his face broke into surprise and joy. Ah, Abdul, Bayo, my guys, nauna, be this. The reunion was loud and full of laughter. They hugged, shouted, joked, and marveled at how long it had been. They talked about old days, old memories, old struggles. ChiNwa was generous with his smiles, his jokes, his handshakes. The transformation was unbelievable. At some point, Bayo leaned close to Abdul and whispered, You see, this life no balance. See as ChiNwa they shine, and we still they hustle. Me, I no go gree Something must change. Abdul sighed, sipping his drink, choosing silence over argument. ChiNwa finally exchanged contacts with them, promising to stay in touch. And as he walked back to his glittering car, Bayo's eyes followed him, burning with questions, burning with hunger, burning with desire. After that unexpected meeting with ChiNwa, something shifted inside Bayo. The image of that clean car, that glittering watch, that confident smile, it refused to leave his mind. It was like a spirit sat on his shoulder, whispering, See what you are supposed to be. See where you have never gotten. That night he barely slept. He tossed. He turned. He sighed. He kept replaying the scene over and over, the same ChiNwa that once struggled beside them, now standing like someone who had swallowed wealth from the root. Something about the transformation did not look normal. Something about it felt heavy. But rather than fear, Bayo felt hunger, raw hunger. ChiNwa don blow, me sef must blow, he muttered into the darkness. By morning, the hunger had become an obsession. As usual, he and Abdul sat on their wooden bench after work. Customers had stressed them from morning till evening, and the scent of rubber, grease, and dust clung to their skin. Abdul stretched his legs. Today, choke. But Bayo wasn't listening. He was holding a small betting slip, his usual escape, the numbers, the odds, the promises. Every evening he pinned his hope on it. God a beg, he whispered under his breath. Abdul rolled his eyes. Bayo, you have started again with this your betting. Leave me a beg, Bayo replied, eyes still glued to the slip. Every day na bet. Don't you get tired? How do you take your little change and dash them daily? Bayo hissed. My brother, what if it enters? You won't understand. Abdul laughed. Enter fire. That's your ticket that is never complete. Before he even finished talking, Bayo checked his phone, and his face fell immediately. Chai, one game don cut. Abdul burst into laughter, almost falling from the bench. I talk am. But Bayo wasn't laughing. His shoulders dropped, his fingers tightened around the ticket. His mind traveled straight back to ChiNwa, back to that clean, impossible transformation. Bet no fit do am, sweat no fit do am, ordinary hustle no fit do am. That night the obsession grew stronger. Bayo sat alone in his small room, staring at the ceiling like the answers were hiding there. His heart beat faster than usual, as though urging him to make a move. ChiNwa no fit just blow like that, he murmured. Something way I must know. By the next day, the pressure inside him had become too much. Even while working, Abdul noticed he was distracted. What is your problem? Abdul asked. Nothing, Bayo lied quickly. You sure? I say nothing, Bayo snapped, then forced a smile. Sorry, my head just full. Abdul didn't push further. He knew his friend well enough to understand when Bayo wasn't ready to talk. But Bayo already had a plan forming quietly, dangerously, inside him. That evening, after another lost bet and another round of frustration, he finally picked up his phone and scrolled to the new number ChiNwa had given them at the bar. He hesitated. His thumb hovered over the call button. His heart began to drum. If I tell Abdul, he go stop me. He no go even gree follow me. This one a journey way I must take by myself. With a deep breath, Bayo pressed call. The ringtone echoed. Once, twice, then a smooth voice answered. Bayo, my guy, what's up? Bayo swallowed. Omo, I won't see you. I won't talk to you one-on-one. ChiNwa chuckled. This one serious You day free this evening? Yes, am free. Okay, come over. Bayo ended the call, his palms already sweating. He didn't tell Abdul anything. He locked up the shop early, claiming headache. Abdul believed him. After all, they'd worked hard. Bayo walked fast, almost too fast, his heart racing in sync with his footsteps. As he approached ChiNwa's house, something strange washed over him. Not fear, not excitement, something in between. ChiNwa lived in a luxurious and very neat duplex. When he opened the door, that same unsettling aura of wealth and mystery wrapped around him again. Bayo, you are here? ChiNwa greeted with a wide grin. Inside, the room smelled expensive, a mix of cologne and something else Bayo couldn't name. The lights were dim, the atmosphere thick. Bayo sat down slowly, trying not to show how nervous he was. So, my guy, ChiNwa began, leaning forward. What brought you? Bayo's voice shook slightly. I want to know how you make how everything take change for you. I dey ready. Anything you tell me, I go do. ChiNwa's eyes narrowed, studying him, weighing him. almost searching his soul. Silence hung in the air like a heavy curtain. "Bayo," ChiNwa began slowly, fingers tapping the arm of his chair. "Before a man opens the door to certain paths, he must first know whether he is ready to walk in darkness with steady feet." Bayo swallowed hard. His heartbeat thudded against his ribs. ChiNwa continued, his voice lower now. "There are journeys," he said, "that change the traveler, not the road. There are choices that, once taken, cannot be washed from the tongue of a man's spirit." Bayo nodded quickly, almost desperately. "I'm ready." ChiNwa stared deeper. "Are you? Wealth is not free. Some doors open, but they do not close afterward. If you enter, you do not come out the same." He paused. "Some things are better left the way they are." Bayo's voice trembled slightly. "I've suffered enough. I want the life you have. I want money. I'm ready for whatever it takes." Another long silence. Then ChiNwa leaned back, eyes narrowing with a strange, unreadable expression. "If you truly mean it," he whispered, "I will show you the way." "Go home," ChiNwa said. "Tomorrow, come prepared." Bayo hardly slept that night, his thoughts twisted around themselves, restless, hungry, racing with excitement and fear. Morning came too quickly, and before the sun had fully risen, he was already on the road, headed toward ChiNwa's place. No hesitation, no second thoughts, only that burning desire. ChiNwa was waiting outside, dressed all in black. Without explaining anything, he motioned for Bayo to follow. They walked through narrow paths, cutting through an abandoned part of the community, where buildings stood like old ghosts, forgotten and crumbling. Finally, they reached a secluded compound shrouded in towering trees. The air felt colder here, unnaturally quiet. Bayo's steps slowed for a moment, not in fear, but in the strange awareness that he was crossing into a world he had never known. Inside, men dressed in deep crimson robes stood in a circle. Their faces were covered, their movements slow, deliberate. In the center was an elderly man sitting before a carved wooden altar, his eyes shining like they carried centuries of secrets. ChiNwa bowed slightly. "Grandmaster," he said, "this is the one." The Grandmaster's voice was like rust scraping against stone. "Welcome," he said without looking up. "Are you ready to leave your former life behind?" Bayo tried to steady his breathing. "Yes." The Grandmaster finally lifted his gaze, and Bayo felt something cold brush the back of his neck. "Then you must prove it," he said. "Your first task, Ogbogudu, requires innocence. You must bring us the essence of a child close to your life. Only then will the gates of abundance open for you." Bayo froze. For a moment the world felt distant, like he stood underwater, hearing echoes instead of words. A child? Someone close to him? His mind spun, searching, scrambling, rejecting, accepting. Faces flashed through his thoughts. Then, one face lingered longer than the rest. Abdul's eldest son. The realization made something inside him tighten painfully, then loosen. He felt guilty. But he felt something stronger, too, that wild hunger that had been burning inside him since ChiNwa returned. By the next afternoon, his decision was made. Besides, if I use his child for the ritual, we will both enjoy the money together. I will make it up to Abdul. I will buy him a house and take care of his family as mine. Bayo thought to himself. He went to the market, bought bags of few gifts, sweets, biscuits, chocolates, brightly wrapped, cheerful, innocent-looking. But one particular chocolate bar he wrapped separately, more carefully. When he arrived at Abdul's house, the children screamed with excitement, "Uncle Bayo! Uncle Bayo has come!" They swarmed him with the pure kind of joy only children carried. He smiled, steadying his voice. "Ah, see my people," he said, handing out gifts one by one. Then he turned to Aminu, the first son, handing him the special chocolate bar, the one blessed by Og Bugdu. "This one is for you," he said playfully. "Just you. Don't give any of your siblings. Oh, they will finish it for you." The boy laughed, nodding eagerly. Nobody suspected a thing. Why would they? It was Uncle Bayo, the man who loved them like his own blood. That night, the house was peaceful. The little boy ate his treats, played, laughed, and finally went to bed. Like any other night, but by morning, he did not wake. He lay there unresponsive. A deep, unnatural sleep had wrapped around him like invisible chains. When Victoria noticed, she screamed. Abdul shook the child over and over, begging him to wake. Neighbors rushed in, tears poured, confusion filled the air like smoke. The first person Abdul called was Bayo, and Bayo came running, his face carved with shock, sorrow, disbelief so convincing that nobody would have thought twice. "God brings and God take," Bayo said, comforting his friend. Days passed, weeks passed. Then one evening, something impossible happened. Bayo's bet, the same game that had cut and cut and cut for years, finally entered. Not small money, fortune. About 40 million Naira people danced for him, celebrated him, called him lucky, called him blessed. Abdul hugged him, cried with him, even thanked God on his behalf. Bayo used the money to build houses, and one for Abdul and his family. He transformed their lives, lifted them from the slum, brought comfort where there had been struggle. Nobody saw anything wrong. Nobody suspected anything. Only Bayo knew what had happened. Only Bayo lived with that shadow beneath his wealth. 2 years later, as the Brotherhood gathered for their usual meeting, the Grandmaster's voice echoed again. "Is that time of the year again? Ogubogudu requires another offering, another essence of a child close to your life. Only then will the gates of abundance open more for you. The path you started must continue." This time Bayo did not hesitate. He followed the same method, the same innocent gift, the same playful instruction, the same quiet night. And another child fallen, another life surrendered to the hunger of the Brotherhood, another shadow buried beneath Bayo's rising fortune. And just like the first time, Bayo was the first person Abdul called. And as usual, Bayo came running, his face carved with shock, sorrow, disbelief so convincing that nobody would have thought twice. "God brings and God takes," Bayo said, comforting his friend. He drove home that night with the new kind of silence in his soul, a silence cold enough to freeze bone, dark enough to swallow light, and heavy enough to remind him. The path he entered no longer belonged to him. It belonged to something else entirely. The years slid by like shadows stretching across evening ground. After the second mysterious sleep incident, the Brotherhood's demands did not stop. They grew deeper, heavier, darker. Exactly 2 years after the last sacrifice, the request came again, as cold and as merciless as before. Bayo stood before the Grand Master, the dim ritual lamps flickering around them, casting long trembling shadows across the stone floor. The crimson-robed men stood in silence, their faces hidden, their breaths slow and patient, like watchers from another realm. The Grand Master raised his carved staff. "It is time," he intoned. "Bring the next essence, the one your destiny is tied to." Bayo bowed his head, though inside him fear trembled for the first time in years. But outwardly, he nodded. I will bring it. And so he did. Same pattern, same method, same innocent gifts, same household that trusted him. And again, that eerie, unnatural sleep came upon the child the next morning, the same haunting cycle repeated like a curse no one understood. Victoria began to wither under the weight of grief. The joy in her eyes dimmed. The light that once filled her laughter grew thin and fragile. 3 children, all lost to strange, unexplained slumber. The light that once filled her laughter grew thin and fragile. 3 children, all lost to strange, unexplained slumber. Her home felt cold, not physically, but spiritually. She moved like a woman carrying invisible chains on her shoulders. At night she cried softly so Abdul wouldn't hear. By day she forced strength, cooking, cleaning, praying. But her soul shook. Neighbors whispered, family members murmured, people offered condolences, then wore pity on their faces whenever she passed. Her mind began to wander. Is this ordinary? Why always my home? Who did we offend? What is following us? How will I be alive and burying my own children? One evening, while she sat outside with swollen eyes, a close friend approached her quietly. Victoria, she whispered gently, there is a church you need to visit. The man of God there. He carries fire. Go there. Tell him everything. He will see what you cannot see. Victoria listened, hesitating, but broken enough to accept. The next day, Victoria made her way to see the man of God. The church was small but heavy with spiritual presence. The air vibrated with prayer. Worshippers cried out fiercely, voices shaking walls and rafters alike. When the man of God stepped out, his presence filled the altar like a sudden wind. He laid his hand on Victoria's shoulder. You came heavy, he said quietly, eyes far too knowing. Your home is surrounded. Forces you call friends walk freely among you, wolves dressed like brothers. Victoria felt her throat tighten. He continued, Your remaining child. They are coming for her. Cover her. Cover her with the blood of Jesus. Cover her with prayer. Do not let her out of your sight. He gave her a small bottle of anointing oil. He wrote 3 psalms for her to pray, morning, noon, and midnight. He instructed her to anoint her daughter daily. Victoria received everything like someone being shown the last doorway to survival. That night, Victoria slept and fell into a terrifying dream. She saw her daughter in a field of darkness, saw a red-eyed shadow reaching for her tiny hands, saw Bayo standing behind the shadow, holding a glowing gift, saw a chain stretching from the gift to the shadow's chest, saw the shadow whisper her daughter's name. Victoria woke up screaming, sweating, shaking. She grabbed her anointing oil and prayed violently, tears flooding her face. God, protect my child, protect her. Whatever has come to take, let it fail tonight. She anointed her daughter head to toe. While she prayed, an unseen wall rose around her child, and from that day she never missed the simple act. She prayed without ceasing. She anointed her daughter every morning, every night, every afternoon. She watched her like a mother eagle guarding her final egg. And unknowingly, she was preparing for the next storm. 2 years passed after the 3rd tragedy. The house was quieter, more careful. The little girl, her only surviving child, was their whole world. The Brotherhood summoned Bayo again. The Grandmaster spoke in that scraping, ancient voice. The cycle must continue. Bring the next essence. Ogbo Kudu requires it tonight, so the wealth can flow in even more. Bayo nodded, though unease twisted inside him. He knew the request. He knew the pattern. He knew the cost of failure, madness, irreversible madness that eats the mind like fire. The darkness wanted its due. Bayo arrived at Abdul's house smiling, the same easy-hearted smile they had known for over a decade. He carried a small bag of gifts, beautifully wrapped, and a pack of candy as usual. He lifted Joy Abdul's daughter up playfully, spinning her, laughing, pretending to be the loving uncle he once was. She giggled. Victoria watched with normal calm, not even remembering the dream or the person in it. It was Uncle Bayo, after all, not suspecting he handed the candy to the child. "This one is for you," he said warmly. "Just for you." Victoria took the candy casually and set it aside on a shelf. Bayo left, confident. He couldn't wait for the night's ritual. Meanwhile, evening service at the church awaited Victoria and her daughter. They went for evening service and came back tired and sleepy. They rounded up and went to bed without even remembering the gifts, nor the candy. That night, the brothers gathered in their secret place. The lamps flickered, the shadows danced. The ritual circle waited. Everyone except Bayo has submitted their own sacrifice, and time is going. Nothing happened. The Grand Master's eyes narrowed. His voice rumbled like thunder. "It has not arrived. Bring it. Bring the essence now, or face the consequence." Bayo's heart slammed against his ribs. He felt hot, cold, sick. He rushed out of the compound, racing through the night like a hunted man. At dawn, he stormed into Abdul's house, breathless, shaking, eyes wild. He didn't greet, didn't sit, didn't smile. He blurted out, Did she eat the candy? Where is it? Has she eaten it?" The room fell silent. Victoria's heartbeat slowed. Abdul's eyes narrowed. Confusion tightened the air. "Why are you asking like this?" Victoria asked quietly. Bayo froze. Something slipped from his expression. Fear. Victoria sensed danger instantly, but she stayed calm. "She used it," she lied. Relief washed over Bayo's face like a wave. He ran out again, leaving Abdul and Victoria in confusion. Victoria called the man of God and narrated everything to him, and he prayed for them over the phone and promised he was coming shortly. Bayo rushed back to the Grand Master. "She used it," Bayo said. The Grand Master's eyes glowed darkly. "No," he answered. "The essence has not arrived. Bring it within 3 hours, or your mind will burn forever." Bayo trembled. He sped back to Abdul's house like someone possessed. Victoria was already praying. Her soul sensed danger. Her spirit was standing guard. Bayo burst in, shouting desperately, "Give her the candy! Let her eat it! Now! Give it to her!" His voice cracked. His eyes were red. His hands shook violently. Victoria stepped back, clutching her daughter close. Abdul stood up slowly. Bayo was shaking on the floor, his breath tearing in and out of him like broken wind. But Abdul stood frozen at first, staring at the man he once called brother. Then slowly, very slowly, his shock hardened. He stepped closer. "Bayo," he whispered, voice trembling. "What are you talking about?" Bayo's eyes darted wildly. He tried to stand. His legs buckled. His mouth foamed with fear and desperation. Abdul, please give her the candy." Abdul grabbed him by the shoulders and yanked him upright. "Are you insane?" he shouted, shaking him. "What do you mean, give her the candy to eat? Why are you screaming like this? Why are you shaking like this? What did you do?" Bayo cried out, clutching his head. It's burning. My head, my mind, Abdul, I beg. You no understand. I no get time again. Just give her the candy. Let her eat it. Abdul's voice dropped, low and dangerous. Why? Bayo froze. His eyes widened, his throat locked. Why must she eat the candy, Bayo? Silence, heavy, cold. Answer me, Abdul roared. Bayo collapsed to his knees, sobbing, loud, trembling, broken. I used them. I used the others. I used every one of them. I didn't mean to. I needed money. Abdul, I needed the money. Victoria gasped, stepping backward, clutching her daughter tight. Abdul staggered. His hands dropped from Bayo's shirt. His mouth opened, but no words came out. Bayo crawled forward, gripping Abdul's ankle. But I shared it with you, he screamed. I built your house. I helped you. I lifted your family. Abdul, I still love Una. Allow me finish the ritual. If she eats it, everything go reset, everything go complete. Then we all go live better. Abdul snatched his leg away like he had touched fire. You call this love? He thundered. You call this brotherhood? My children trusted you. My home trusted you. My wife trusted you. Bayo shook violently. He tried to speak, but a scream ripped out of him instead, sharp and animalistic. He slammed his hands on the ground. Please, Abdul, please. I don't want to run mad. Just let her eat it. Please. Abdul looked at him with horror, grief, disgust, heartbreak, all fighting in his chest. You betrayed us, he whispered. You, my own brother, you betrayed us. Bayo screamed again. His body twisted. Veins rose on his neck. His eyes turned glassy. Then, with a sound like something tearing inside him, he lunged toward Victoria as if to grab the child. Abdul pushed him so hard that Bayo hit the wall and crumpled to the ground. That was when the madness arrived. Bayo clutched his head. He shrieked. He kicked. He rammed into the wall. He rolled on the floor. He kept screaming, It's burning me. They are dragging me. Abdul, let her eat it. Let her, Then he sprang to his feet and bolted out of the door into the street, into the daylight, into madness, screaming, I used them. I used them. They should let me go. The essence. The essence. I did it for all of us. And he ran and ran until he disappeared into the world like smoke. Before the day went by, Abdul, his wife, and their daughter packed quietly. They left the house Bayo built, untouched, abandoning gifts that once glittered with promise. They carried only personal belongings, heavy with grief and regret, walking away in silence, wishing, painfully, they had known better before fate taught them its lesson. Trust is one of the purest gifts a person can offer, but when it is misplaced, it can wound deeply. Mothers, learn to pray. Pray early, pray consistently, and pray fiercely for your children. Do not wait for trouble before seeking covering. Some dangers are defeated only by prayers offered ahead of time. Be careful who sits at your table, for not every friend that smiles beside you is praying for your rising. So ask yourself, who in your circle wears light on their face, but carries night in their intentions? If this story moved you, don't scroll away. Like the video, share it with someone who needs this warning, and subscribe to African Tales by ChiNwa for more powerful stories. What lesson stood out to you most? Drop it in the comments.